Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game between Complexity's Catz and WhiteRa or Duckload Raw here on an old but favorite map of one of the old and favorite maps of mine, Desert Oasis. It's been quite some time since I've cast a game on Desert Oasis, and yeah, one of the reasons why I wanted to cast this game was I really wanted to see how these players adapted to a map where they don't really practice on. You can see Complexity's Catz spawning as the yellow Zerg player here in the center south position. Meanwhile, you can see Duckload Raw spawning as the red Protoss on the north position. Now, getting into a little bit of the overview, there are destructible rocks here and here as well. So because of that, the walking distance, if you watch the minimap, is very, very long. You have to walk down, come here, come through the center, come back over here to get back up. So even though this is a relatively close by air spawn locations, it is a very, very far walking location until you start destroying these rocks. One of the things, there is a ramp over here as well. So a very, very wide ramp. I had talked with some of the guys at Blizzard on how to balance this map, as there was a lot of discussions on how to balance this map, and then eventually David was just like, yeah, it's being removed. People don't like it. So we'll see how these players do on a map where they may or may not like. Now, I do like this positioning on this one pylon here. It allows you to build a building up on the high ground while still establishing another low ground and choke point here. I believe there is a little bit of a room for a zealot to go right there. So this is the first time I've ever seen a build like this, and there will be a fast hatchery here. And this is a very, very greedy fast hatchery. It was a 16 hatch. So trying to get a very, very strong economy, and it looks as though a WhiteRa just going to respond with, okay, if you're going to go for a 16 hatch, then I will go for a 17 Nexus, and both of us will be playing a very macro style of game. So both players getting a macro game here, and we'll see what's going to be happening. The natural expansions, you generally do spawn away from your opponent, and a little bit of a pressure play now by placing down this pylon. A cannon could be placed down here. I don't see a forge though, so that may be for a feint, perhaps forcing Complexity or Catz in order to get down even more and more Zerglings early on. Otherwise, a photon cannon in that very forward position would be very, very interesting, as we see that pylon's just sitting there like, yeah, you don't know what I'm gonna do, and that's really a mind game at that point. The Overlord hasn't really seen what the tech buildings are. He doesn't know that the gateway and the pylon's over here, so he has to assume that perhaps there is a cannon rush coming in at some point. So this is really strange to see Duckload Raw actually going for a strategy like this, and it's not really cheese play in that he's not using cheese, but it looks like cheese play and it tastes like cheese play. And if it looks and tastes like cheese play, it must be cheese play. You can see Zerglings are now being called down over here. Queens are being added over. The Zerglings are now trying to get a decent surround on this one pylon. Want to make sure that it does get destroyed. Just offering a lot of scouting information as well. Where is that Cybernetics core? I don't see a Cybernetics core. We are starting to chrono boost off over here. A drone may be able to slip by a zealot, not yet in the army just quite yet, as we are now going into a Cybernetics core, and this pylon will get taken down. So yeah, Catz doing a good job not over responding to the what looked like cheese play, as the probes are now being transferred down to the low ground. We should perhaps be getting a zealot soon. Yes, there is a zealot now making its way out. This one probe is starting to regenerate its shields, but it may instead go after the zealot. No, the zealot not helping to protect that one particular probe. Not quite sure why. The probe will get destroyed as it now tries to back away, and there it goes. You can now see the zealot back in midfield. It looks as though it's going to try to catch up to those Zerglings, not really be able to do anything at all. Now, normally around the 6-minute mark, we are going to see a little bit more of the strategies of what your opponent is opting to do. We can see a tech to tier 2 already, so both players really utilizing and really benefiting from the fact that this map is rather large. So they're going to be able to play their own game without having to deal with any of the early harassment and early cheese that normally comes with a game on Desert Oasis. Oh, a Zealot trying to get into position. It is going to be perhaps able to finish off a lot of those Zerglings, and brilliant micro by WhiteRa. WhiteRa and microing the Zealot, also positioning itself right there, able to get off a lot of kills, and I believe the Zealot will end up getting 3 Zergling kills, so already a very, very good trade there, as the Zealot now finally backing off, perhaps going to try to activate a different Xel'Naga tower, perhaps come back here instead so that he is closer to his reinforcements. We are going now into a crazy 5-gate or 6-gateway warp-in at this time. Where's the other gateway? Down over here, yeah, so keeps all of his gateways except for one together. Yeah, so another gateway will be added in. We are going into Warp Prism play, something that Duckload or WhiteRa very, very famous and infamous for. That Warp Prism play, and with the additional shields coming in patch 1.40, I am sure he is going to just be laughing all the way home. Spinecrawler now being added. You can see an Overlord going to be positioning itself, and it will spot any Warp Prism play. As the Warp Prism now actually finished being built, it will be making its way out in just a moment. We are going to get some Zealots and a Stalker into that one particular Warp Prism, and then it will make its way out. All of these gateways are on cooldown. Warp Gate's on cooldown. One gateway, still a gateway, not quite sure why. They're finally catching it there, and now making his way off with this one particular Warp Prism, and it will be able to do a drop. Zerglings are down over here. Will it be enough? The Zerglings are going to try to counter this. The Zerglings are going to be a little bit of a meeting fashion, and now in comes the Warp Prism. The Warp Prism warping in a lot of units. You can see the damage on that Warp Prism already taking a lot so far, and the Warp Prism now finally backing off the Zealots, going to be able to engage, and now perhaps another round of Warp Prism, but Mutalisks are going to be coming in, and without any Stalkers, all of these Zealots are essentially dead. The Warp Prism going to try to reposition itself, but realizing that there are 2 Mutalisks there, does not try to engage. And you can see the Queen is now taking a lot of damage, and the Zealots going after for that very, very vulnerable Queen. And now some of those drones, but the Mutalisks of Catz able to finish this off. And now we'll see who really did more damage to each other. Harvester count strategy, 45 probes compared to 42. Duckload only has 7 Stalkers to his name. Another round of warp-in bound to come in for more Stalkers. There you go. And now getting a lot more Stalkers in. The Mutalisk going to try to engage there. A Mutalisk versus Stalkers. However, the Stalkers do not have Blink. Twilight Council now being warped into play. I believe Blink will be added. Only 110 seconds to research Blink, as the Stalkers continuing that pressure to try to chase down all of those Mutalisks. Stalkers are now back over here. As you can see, the Mutalisks just trying to put down this pressure. During this time, Catz really needs to establish up a third base. Now going after probes. Oh, the Stalkers are getting within range, though, so this is very, very bad. All of these Mutalisks are not grouped together well enough, so the Stalkers are actually able to focus down and target down specific units. Level 1 weapons upgrade, and also an infestation pit, very important in order to slow down those very fast moving Stalkers. More probes getting destroyed, and very nice harassment coming in from Complexity, as my daughter gives me a good morning wake up hello, wearing a Tigger costume. So I guess my wife is getting ready for Halloween. Now we can see that the Mutalisks are trying to come back in, but not able to do anything there. A third base is being established at the important gold mineral patches. 6 gold mineral patches here. And will also add some additional Vespene geysers as well. This expansion is very, very difficult to try to defend, so this is the natural expansion location. There are also 2 island expansions in the corners. We'll see what's going to be happening there as the Mutalisks once again try to push back in. Are they going to be able to get any damage? And oh, Blink has been completed. So the phase 4, any more harassment has essentially come to an end. Those Mutalisks really need to back off as the Stalkers are able to blink and continue to just maximize their damage. One Mutalisk very, very happy that it does have natural regeneration, able to survive at 3 hit points or 2 hit points now. A couple of those Mutalisks, in fact, very, very low. Overlords are in position. I believe WhiteRa is now going to be macroing up and having the stronger army. Harvester count 57 to 51. Infestors being added. Zerglings also being added as well, as we are now finally going into Roaches. Stalkers blinking up onto the high ground, and very, very smart blink micro up onto that high ground there. Those two not able to engage, but Infestors now coming in. Fungal growth trying to just continue to chain that damage. Zerglings now getting in a lot of damage as well. So Catz dealing a lot of damage with all of these, and now dropping in some infested Terrans. No burrow though, so all of these very expensive infestors will get destroyed. 16 stalkers now on the inside, continuing to push this pressure, and now not gonna be really not going to overstay its welcome at all, as these stalkers are pretty much going unchallenged right now, and more stalkers are coming back into position still. I do not believe that Catz had realized the power and the ability of these blink stalkers. Perhaps more familiarity with the map would have put some spine crawlers or something along here in order to draw a line, but Catz, this third expansion not even really doing anything at all. Drones trying to come off the mineral line in order to fight and win this war, but that is never a good sight there. Infested Terrans are now pushing forward, trying to deal even, trying to push back, but these stalkers are simply going to be too much. There is not enough of a standing army. Mutalisk doing a flyby, but the pattern is full. All of those stalkers getting just getting free shots onto those Mutalisks there. A bad rally point. And now a Warp Prism to get in reinforcements would be very, very clutch now, as infested Terrans are dropping in. Stalkers going after Mutalisks will be able to go after those eggs as well in just a second. It looks as though those infestors need to back off. A lot of the very critical tech is over here, and the only reason why Catz really thinks that he has a chance is knowing that he has Roaches coming in to engage, and also knows that he has his next base up and running if he needs it. The Stalkers will be blinking up once again still. Roaches getting destroyed. Zerglings going after that engagement, and there is the good game. So Complexity and Catz losing to WhiteRa here on Desert Oasis. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let me know if you guys like the change in the casting style. I'm gonna try to do less play-by-play and more general talk, more strategy, more talks about concaves, unit positionings, and general pace and tempo of the game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.